Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see such a wonderful crowd here today. Nice to see you, and it is a pleasure to be with you. I don't have any real prepared remarks, except to say that was an interesting Bond Commission meeting and the last one for the season, and we look forward to many more of those wonderful discussions in the next sessions beginning next year.
What were your reactions, or what is your reaction to Representative Minor's votes today against several items, including 10 items?
I understand exactly where he's coming from, and I have to tell you, and as you heard our Secretary Bob Gennario talk, we have canceled many bond commission meetings this year trying to hold the line on the amount of bonds that we will actually authorize and release. We still are at a higher level than I would like to be, and I think Representative Minor's comments reflect the frustration, frankly, that the legislature hasn't taken action on the bond or on the budget side, and why are we still spending money on the bond side? But I have to tell you again, we have a number of requests each month, each year. In fact, I asked that we bring this over. I figured this would come up since this is just 2008 bond requests basically from legislators and from others, and this is the request that we have to go through each month in order to determine which ones are appropriate, which ones are necessary, and which are agency sponsored.
The point he explained to us was that he thought that we ought not to be starting stuff that isn't started, that it's important to keep things going that are already in the loop, but starting new stuff at this point, maybe we ought not to start new stuff.
And again, I would say his point is well taken, but in some cases we will lose the options if we don't. The one that comes to mind is the courthouse, for example. In Torrington, we have an option on that property. We don't want to lose it. We've taken way too much time trying to purchase that property. If we don't, we aren't in the building stage yet. We are in the purchase stage, and I think that we don't want to lose that. And the same thing is true, for example, with farmland preservation. A number of these farms have been on the market for some time as far as waiting for that. The law requires us to put that $5 million on the bond agenda. If we don't pay for it, we simply may lose those farms. So, some of it is that is the rationale behind some of those expenses.
What's your view now? It appears that the President and the Treasury Secretary are going to step in and do what the Senate didn't, and at least tide over the major automakers. That has a direct impact here, but there's at least 4,000 or 5,000 jobs directly affected here in manufacturing, maybe 5,000 or 10,000 more in dealerships. What's your view? Is that the right move?
I think we have to do something. I think that we were just talking of, apologize to all of you for coming out a little bit late, but we were just talking about the economy in there, and the bad news just keeps coming when you think in terms of obviously with Bank of America announcing 35,000 job loss over the next 3 years, and Citigroup, Stanley Works, and the like. We don't want more bad news, and we know the trickle-down effect, the ripple effect, if you will, from the auto industry. I believe that they have to do something. It was my hope that the Senate would come together last night, try to come up with a compromise that everyone could live with. I understand this is a bridge loan, that the bridge loan is until such actions can be actually voted on by the Senate and the House, the Congress, but we cannot afford the loss of jobs and the ripple effect right now. So the bottom line is we have to do something.
Can the state afford to pay unemployment to all of those people who would be affected?
Right now, we are okay, but we will, if the unemployment rate continues to grow, we will be facing a difficult task. We have already asked the federal government as part of any stimulus package to also make sure that those states that are reaching a higher number in unemployment be allowed some leeway there and possibly some funds to help cover our balance. But that is not forthcoming right now. We are at 6.5% unemployment. Our fear would kick in if it were to get much higher than that.
Governor, what do you think about Chris Healy's characterization of this bond commission meeting?
I think that we're all frustrated right now. I think that we're frustrated when we see the inaction, if you will, from the legislature last week. I think that we're frustrated when we see that some of the tougher decisions have not been made, and that they are dragging their feet, waiting for the beginning of the next year to start to take some actions. I think he is probably mirrored, his comments are probably mirrored by Representative Minor today that we shouldn't be doing more right now, but it's, you know, it is part of the process here, and we need to continue to, obviously, to bond the dollars that are necessary.
You said that everything is on the table as you try to craft a new budget. I think you've also said that you're going to try to avoid tax increases.
That is correct.
How do those two square? If everything's on the table, don't you have to consider tax increases? Isn't that what that means?
Well, it would be my last resort, frankly. I'm also trying to avoid layoffs. It's getting more and more difficult as we cut deeper and deeper into the budget. We're looking at a $2.6 billion shortfall in current services budget for next year, and $3.3 billion for the year after that. Bob has told me that he has sharpened his pencil. He and I have been working together this past week with a variety of folks from OPM. It's getting deeper and deeper in the cut level, and we have a lot of work yet to do.
Does that mean that layoffs are inevitable?
It doesn't mean that they are inevitable. We are, as you know, we have hired an attorney to start talking with our unions to talk about how we may all work together to soften the blow and to help ease the pain of the budget deficits that we are facing. So that's part of the dialogue.
Why did you need to hire a lawyer? Why couldn't, I mean, you got lawyers working for you already.
Because I wanted someone who has done this before and someone who has the admiration and respect of the labor union in our state.
Governor, I just need to clarify that that was Sadie's own opinion when she was saying yuck about Ms. Stewart's question. But seriously, is the YMCA program still on the table? Why, and if so, why is the state spending this type of money on something when we're facing a $6 billion deficit? That, the Southington Drive-In, a pool.
Some of these, Sadie said yuck, and that was the end of that conversation. Some of the smaller projects have been requested. They're probably within this folder that I just showed you, this lovely one here. That is a request from many legislators. Those smaller items that we had on the agenda today were part of the request from some of our leadership. I know I wanted to say that Southington, I'm not sure, was, it doesn't matter, but I think it was Representative Amon's request. These are commitments that they had made. There are still, as you know, millions of dollars worth of items that are on the bond agenda or bond package that were passed by the General Assembly. And if you go back and you read my quotes from last year, some of them will never see the light of day. But the legislative leadership has a request for certain amounts, and it is the end of the year. The Bond Commission meets on a yearly basis, the end of a regular year. Not it is. This is our year. The calendar year ends December 31st, and we met their obligations.
How do some get left and some get passed? I mean, what makes a park at an old drive-in more important than something else?
Because the Speaker asked for it.
Because the Speaker of the House asked for it.
The commitment you made in a budget agreement, I mean, that sounds like you're taking that more seriously than the fact that this might not be a good project. I mean, do you defend them all on their merits, or is some of it there just because it's Jim Amon's fault?
But you know, I have to say, again, look at the list that I just showed you. If I wish we didn't have any earmarks in there. In fact, you heard me say that over and over again. Eliminate all earmarks in the budget request or in the bond proposal. And there is a small amount of what we would refer to as earmarks in this particular bond agenda today. But they are commitments that were made, that the Speaker had made, and that I made to them. So I honored them through the end of this year. When we put together a bond package next year, it is my sincere hope that there is not one earmark in there for anyone. And we'll work to make sure that happens. I look at the legislators that are standing out there, and some are smiling and saying, yes, go for it. Others are just simply saying, good luck.
Is there going to be a January Bond Commission meeting or a February Bond Commission meeting? I know you guys set dates in there, but are you really going to have meetings?
We do have projects, and I heard the conversation at the end there talking about, quote, some of the things that we can do. That's why we worked so hard today also to make sure that we had the projects that we wanted to move forward on, the Fix It First, for example, and some of those projects. So we will continue to put those kinds of things that we can move with, and any economic development projects that are ready to go.
Some of us were talking with Representative Staples yesterday, and he raised the possibility of maybe repealing or suspending tax credits. We have over $5 billion worth of tax credits or tax expenditures. Are you contemplating something similar?
Yes.
And what sort of...
Everyone that I've been reading so far is very difficult to suspend. They all have a purpose and they all have a rationale behind them, but we are looking at some of them.
Suspensions, like for 2 years or something like that?
It could be.
Or outright repeal?
Or outright repeal.
Going back to what you said a few minutes ago about hiring a labor lawyer, what would be part of that negotiation? Would you be looking for concessions? Would you be looking for ways to avoid layoffs? What would be the purpose of that?
I am going to be very candid with you and tell you that right now we are in a dialogue. I am reluctant to call it anything other than a discussion. I have been advised by both the Secretary of OPM and by the labor attorney that we leave all discussions to them, and that I will stay out of it until such time as they inform me I need to be. I cannot comment further. I'm not trying to be evasive. I'm just saying...
What else can there be besides concessions? I mean, how are you going to save money besides concessions or getting rid of people? There's only two
I will
ways.
leave that to the labor attorney to discuss.
With arbitration, are you going in, you've got I think 11 contracts or 13 contracts that are going to be negotiated. Are you going to go in and tell the unions no increases at all, and then go into arbitration and perhaps have an arbitrator choose between a union raise and a pay freeze? I mean, our pay raise is going to be on the table.
Everything's on the table. Let me just go back to those contracts that are up. They are in discussion now. I don't know any that are, well, Bob, I don't want to speak for the ones that are in arbitration.
Yeah, and I think that, so the issue is not confused, there are contracts that we are currently negotiating for the next 2 years, and they are going to be handled in the normal course, and I think you can expect any position of the state with regard to salary increases to be reflective of our economic times, and that's all I'm going to say about that. The other issue is the discussions that will be had with the collective bargaining leaders as a whole with regard to the status of existing agreements and the like. That's a different discussion by its nature. That will take place separately and independently, and we'll see where that goes. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
But there is a contract, though. Isn't there an arbitration award coming out with the Department of Corrections soon? Largest contract, I think, in out of the state unions. Have we gotten that arbitration award yet?
It has not. We have not gotten the award yet.
Governor, on the Heinrich bribery situation, should this gentleman who was charged, should he be prosecuted to the full extent of the law?
First, let me comment. Yes, I would say so. I don't know what he actually offered or did, but I have to tell you that, hats off and kudos to Representative Heinrich for doing exactly what she should have done, and that is to say no, and I am going to report this. I just want to share with you that I give kudos to the House Republicans last year who continued to insist that reporting a bribe, either witnessing or actually being offered a bribe, must be reported. They did it. It passed the law. It's part of our ethics package, and I just say that she did exactly the right thing, and we should all be very proud of her. I have read the newspaper accounts. I don't know what he did. I thought they were working sort of on the same page, and that, that she was supporting his legislation, so why would you need to try to bribe someone? But if he offered a bribe, and that's exactly what, the reports are saying, then by all means he should be.
To what extent do you think people out there think that a lawmaker could be bribed? I mean, we always hear people, oh, they're all crooks, but I don't think everybody really believes that. But
I don't know. I think that, and I think that news account the other day certainly sends a good message to the public that it isn't every lawmaker, and certainly that the results of that and her actions speak very clearly for, I think, the way lawmakers should handle themselves. Of course, they're following that whole issue in Illinois right now, and it gives them, I think, the public a whole bad taste in their mouth. So, thanks on that note.
How unified is the Republican Party right now? You've had some.
I think we're going to have some discussion. It's not just the party. I think we need to talk about how we grow our party. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We took a beating in the election, and I think that we not only lost seats, obviously, but I don't think we can blame it on the, you know, the national wave, if you will, on the national election. We need to work harder to recruit good candidates to run for office. We had a lot of great candidates this year, but we need to do more to start that process now. We need to build a bench. So I think we have our work cut out for us, and those are some of the things that I'd like to share with my colleagues and my friends in the Republican Party.
Your position in the party, do you see yourself as the leader of the party who's going to have to sort of show the way forward, or are there others that you...
I think we all are in this together. I think all of the leaders in the party are in this together, and I think we all need to work together to get our party back on good, solid footing, and to show that we can bring about some really good candidates for office. Thanks, everyone. I think our party chairman does a good job. He has a lot of expertise and brings a lot of knowledge to the table. We need to work together to build the party.